Hey everybody, it's Dan with Pain Free You. I am back home in Pennsylvania. I left the lake house a day early. I just had too much going on with group coaching on Wednesday, and then Thursday I'm back into the one-on-one coaching. I took some time off of that, so got a lot going on. So I'm back. It is a scorcher. It is 6 o'clock at night and it is 93 degrees. Whew. It's hot. So today's topic is going to be, do my emotions need to come out in order to get better? And so I'm going to jump into that in a minute. Take a couple of nice breaths. A little bit of landscaping here on the property. Not nearly as nice as the lake. Let's breathe in some peace. Exhale the stress and the noise. Breathe in the smiles. Exhale the anger. Breathe in the confidence. Exhale the doubt. So, do my emotions need to come out in order to get better? So, this really comes from Dr. Sarno's theories about repressed emotions. And he talked about it in a number of his books. What's interesting is if you look at his very first book, he talks about stress and tension. And it was later, after a number of consultations with psychologists and psychiatrists and really digging into the whole, subconscious mind, he formed that theory about the repressed emotions, and the brain is protecting us from those repressed emotions. And as a result, everybody who reads Sarno says, I got to go find those repressed emotions. And very well could be dead on accurate. The issue, though, is in some cases, people know exactly what was going on. They know about the life stress, the death of grandma, a divorce going on, a sick kid or whatever, I'm moving, I lost a job. And we can very easily, many of us can connect the dots and go, this is what was going on at the time. It's no wonder my pain started then. And so do you actually have to go back and relive those experiences and feel those emotions in order to get better? Well, I don't know. I don't think so. In my case, I relived every negative experience I could find in my memory bank. I went back and I dug and I dug and I dug and I journaled and I racked my brain thinking psychologically. I thought about the past stuff. I thought about the current stuff. I thought about the future stuff. Like what? And I couldn't get better. And so I will say that for some people, where they are terrified of their emotions, they may not need to go dig up their skeletons of the past, but it's definitely useful to learn and teach the brain that emotions are safe, right? Emotions are safe. They are a normal part of the human experience, and if you are terrified of your emotions, and if you run away and resist and recoil anytime you feel a negative emotion like sadness or anger or rage or guilt or shame, those are danger signals. And you've probably heard me talk a little bit about how the purpose of pain is to protect us from things that the brain perceives as dangerous. So if the brain perceives that these negative emotions that you are always terrified of are the dangerous things, then it is likely that that is what's causing the pain. Now, do you actually have to go experience those emotions? It can certainly help, for sure. How do you prove to the brain that the emotions are safe? By actually feeling them and being okay afterwards. So that is why I talk about being aware of your emotional state and feeling your emotions. But you've also heard me say, I'm not a big fan of digging up the old stuff, right? If that works for you, great. If you want to go journal about your past, fine, do that. But if you keep writing the same stuff every day, and you're not really covering any new ground, you might be done writing about your past. How about what's going on now? What was going on at the time the pain started? You know, I'm not sure you need to go back to 3rd grade when little Billy was picking on you and bullying you. So I think there's a certain subset of people where there are repressed emotions, and it would be useful to go do a little exploring and trying to connect the dots and see if you can connect with those emotions. For a number of people, TMS starts with a true injury that supposedly never healed through the fear, the focus, the anxiety about the injury, and just the big fear that, oh my God, what if this doesn't heal properly, right? And so we can teach our brain to keep pain going long after a real injury. It can happen after a medical treatment, whether it be dental work or surgery of some sort. And through this fear and the focus and the anxiety about the surgery or the treatment, that can cause the brain to learn and memorize these pain signals. And in some cases, it could very well be that your nervous system was already highly sensitized and something happens. You get in a car accident, but you weren't hurt. There was no damage. You weren't in trouble. And a month later, you start hurting. Well, that could be due to the emotional stress and the trauma of the accident and the feeling of the lack of control, which all of a sudden caused your nervous system and your brain to get even more alert and more terrified and more vigilant. And so symptoms can start. And like I said, once symptoms start, we get sucked down that slippery slide of the medical system, and we're told we're broken, or they can't find anything, or any number of, 1,000 different possible scenarios with the doctors and the pain management people and the PTs and the chiropractors and the massage therapists and before you know it, you feel like you're broken. So do your emotions need to come out in order to get better? I'd venture to say if you've been doing this TMS work for a while, you've probably already explored that. And if you have, I don't think you're not better because you haven't found the offending emotion yet. It's very possible that your brain just hasn't learned to be safe yet. Or if you think your body's a problem, the brain's going to keep this pain persistent because it believes you've got a body problem. So clarity matters, accurate knowledge, what's going on. Do the assessments. Yes, feel your emotions, but I like to focus on the right now stuff. Because if your past is not haunting you in the present moment, I don't know, digging it up is going to help you get better today. Because in some cases, reliving old traumas is traumatic, and that creates more danger signals. So I'm not convinced we need to go dig. But creating safety now, in the present, is important. Teaching your brain that you're not concerned with the symptoms is really important. And I believe more important than the digging up old stuff, right? What was fascinating was I attended a training for practitioners that Dr. Schubner ran. And he spoke about a clinical study he did in Boulder, the Boulder back pain study. It hasn't published yet. He's struggling to get it published because the medical journals don't like publishing stuff that says you're not broken. Interesting story. But here's the deal. He had 30 people in this study, back pain. And 28 of the 30, I think was the number he told us, got better within 30 days. Great results, right? That's amazing. And here's the thing, I asked him, how much emotional work did they do in the study? 0. The entire study was based on accurate knowledge, right, the education piece, and then safety, calming, soothing, learning to settle the nervous system, learning to teach your brain that your body's okay, that whatever you saw in the MRI, those were normal abnormalities, as Dr. Sarno used to say. And so I'm not convinced that we need to do this deep dive emotional discovery in order to get better. And if you've done that and you're still not better, That's kind of the definition of trying too hard. Are you going to keep doing that in the hope that you'll find this one mystery experience and emotion? Or are you going to say, okay, I've connected the dots enough. I understand why my nervous system reached this point of overflow. And that may be enough. And now it's a matter of teaching yourself that you can deal with your current emotions by feeling them, noticing your physical state, breathing and relaxing the tension from your body, noticing your mental state. When your brain starts to spin, well, we don't have to buy into those negative thoughts. Going on to the mindset of indifference. If you can't be indifferent, if it's not available to you, at least don't freak out. Calmly, confidently reassure yourself that you're going to be okay. Smile, right? This is how we get better. We teach the brain that we're okay in the present. And look, maybe it was some really stressful stuff, some heavy emotions at the time. But for many of us, we've already dealt with that. We've already kind of processed that scenario, and it's no longer haunting us and bothering us. But in the meanwhile, we had pain start up, we got medicalized, and we felt like we were broken, and we started fearing and focusing on it, and the brain learned it. So I believe that any pain that lasts longer than a typical healing time frame, if there was a true injury, is TMS, meaning it's learned. Chronic pain is learned by the brain. And how do we unlearn it? Shifting our focus away from it. Not paying it as much attention. And I'm not saying ignore it, so please don't misunderstand that. I'm not saying ignore it. It's impossible to ignore your pain. It will get your attention. But you can choose how to respond. And the more calmly you respond to it, or the more calmly you respond to a flare-up, or a spike in pain, or the pain returning after it's been gone for a little while, or, the more likely you are to get better quicker. So do we need to let our emotions come out to get better? I'm not convinced. The Boulder back pain study is evidence of that. And that was a true clinical study run by medical doctors, so that's pretty compelling evidence. But I think it is important to teach yourself through acceptance that emotions are normal and that they are safe, and by actually feeling them, you can teach your brain that, yeah, I was really pissed off yesterday, but I felt it, and nothing bad happened, right? I'm still here today. I cried a lot yesterday, and I'm still okay, right? Sometimes it feels good to get a good cry out, or to let a good scream out if you're pissed off. And I'm not saying blow up at the people around you, but in your car, your bedroom, your bathroom, in some privacy. Sometimes it's okay to get pissed off. So once you feel an emotion, it can pass. Resisting emotions, avoiding them, they just build up and build up and build up. And that doesn't help either. So do you need to let your emotions out to get better? I don't know. Maybe. If you've tried that and it hasn't worked, focus on safety. Focus on the right now stuff. Stop digging. And if you've done all the digging and you've worked with therapists and, you've just explored every possible thing you can think of, you're not getting anywhere. Are you focusing on safety, messages of safety in the present? Are you teaching your brain that your body's okay? Do you actually believe that? Because if not, it's going to be tough for the brain to let go if you still believe you've got a physical problem, right? And if you're not sure if you've got TMS or not, yourpaintest.com. It will bring you to danbuglio.com. Just fill out the 10 questions, and you'll get an answer. Anything over 29 is TMS, and you can get better. And that's the best news ever if it comes out more than 29. And if you're slightly under it, that doesn't mean you're not experiencing TMS. It just means that it's not 100% definite. So don't get too tangled up in that. Yeah. So that's what I got to say on this topic. Do you need to let your emotions out to get better? Maybe, but maybe not. Focus on safety. Focus on feeling your right now emotions. If you've already done the digging, you might be able to stop that. You know, I personally journaled for over 6 months, and I journaled myself into a depression. It wasn't helpful. It didn't make me feel any safer. It made me feel more broken mentally, and it made me really be very unhappy with myself and my life, because all I was doing was writing about all the things that were wrong with me and my life and the people around me. And that wasn't helpful. So, if you've done it, stop writing. Focus on safety. How do we do that? Indifference. You hurt today? Okay, so what? Been there, done that. You got the t-shirt. You survived yesterday, you'll survive today. The less significance you place on your pain, the quicker your brain's going to learn that it's not significant. The more you get frustrated with it, angry at it, pissed off at it, fighting with yourself, fighting with your brain, fighting with your pain, you're staying in danger, because fighting is not safety. So, I don't know if you guys are finding this useful or not. Don't create these rules for yourself that say, I have to get all these emotions out in order to get better. Yes, I know that's a logical conclusion from Dr. Sarno's work and the theories he put forth, but there's lots of people who have gotten better without the emotional stuff. And I've seen threads in some of the other TMS groups where somebody goes, hey, did you get better? Has anybody ever gotten better without journaling? And inevitably, you know, a dozen people come out and say, yep, I did. I didn't need to journal. So, is it required? I don't think so. Is it helpful? It certainly can be. And if there's a lot of emotional turmoil in your life, sometimes it can be very therapeutic to get that out on paper and then trash the paper, right? As a release. But, I don't know. That's my take on it. Love you guys and gals. Welcome back to Pennsylvania. And we'll see you tomorrow.